a lot of the times what happens when we come into this world and realm of spirituality, people start trying to save hoes. Okay? And you know what I'm talking about because you yourself have been the hoe cadet. I'm not frugal. I was broke. I had no money. And then you start making some money and then you be like, upgrade? Okay. You guys, this wig, it just be slipping and sliding all over the place. So, I'm trying out this thing where we try to meet each other where we're all at. I don't know how long it's gonna last. I have to be honest. I have no idea if this is gonna be something that's a recurring thing or not. I was just looking at everyone's comments from the last video I posted, my breakdown video, and just kind of saw that a lot of you were either in the same place, just now getting to that place, just kind of coming out of that place. And I realized that kind of the conversation needs to be changed. And I can sit here and like make a bunch of videos on all type of spiritual content all the time, but I feel like for the time being, I think it may be worth something to just kind of stop and then let's just talk like regular, because what I'm realizing is that kind of the space that we're all in today is helping people get through things. And maybe we just need to help each other cope with what we're all kind of dealing with right now spiritually. And also in the spirit of not forcing myself to create content in a way that's stressing me out because I need the flow, right? I need to go with the flow. I am just going to kind of record as I'm going throughout my day, right? Because I do have a busy day today, and if I stop to think about, oh, when am I going to record and try to start planning that, I'm going to like have a moment. So I figured I'm just going to take you guys with me. And then if something really awesome comes out, then like, that's cool, you know? And then if it doesn't, then we got to hang out for a little bit. So right now it is currently 6:25 in the morning. I have had 2 hours of sleep. Why? Because I fell asleep at 2 or 10 o'clock. And I have like this weird thing that if I fall asleep at 10 o'clock, it's a nap. But if I fall asleep at 11, it's a sleep. And I made a mistake and fell asleep at 10 and only got a nap. So I slept for 2 hours, which kind of sucks because I am currently headed to the airport. And everyone knows that I have a regular job. And so I have a trip for my regular job. And so I have to catch a flight at 10 o'clock. So I have to kind of prepare myself for that and then drop off Duchess so she can have a nice couple of days with her little fur friends. And then I also have to swing by my office and pick up some things really quick, make sure I'm not leaving anything that I want to bring with me, and then grab a shuttle to the airport. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. some more of, I guess, meeting me where I'm at. I am now in DC for work. I'll be here for 2 days and then I'll head back to Atlanta. And so kind of in the middle of the hustle and bustle. I'm taking work calls. One sec. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're waiting to the 15th. So there won't be a shortage. Alrighty. Let me know if you need anything. Okay. All right, bye. I am currently multitasking, talking to you guys, and also trying to sort some things out. But yeah, so I kind of wanted to talk to you guys. Let's just meet each other where we're at, right? I've been reading all of your comments that have been coming in from the last video I posted and have been in awe, somewhat inspired, also a little bit terrified by some of the things that you guys are sharing, in the sense of like, you guys have really been going through it, and you guys have been really going through a hard time, and so much of that is collective and it's such a shared experiences. But for some of you guys that sort of got really deep and provided like details when it comes to what you guys were dealing with, what I was noticing was that for a lot of you guys were all really in dark moments. And so I wanted to take a moment for us to kind of regroup together and send out like a collective prayer to all of us, because it seems as if a lot of this experience is shared. And when you are in really dark spaces like that, it feels like it's not shared, and it feels very isolating, and like you're alone, and that you're the only person that's dealing with what's going on. And it could also feel like maybe other people wouldn't understand you. Maybe you feel like you may be going crazy. And from getting you guys' responses, I think it's important for us all to kind of like collectively, energetically give each other a hug. Because what I've realized when reading them is that that's so not the case. And if we don't acknowledge that that is not the case, and acknowledge that it's a shared experience and a shared darkness, then what's going to happen? We're going to start losing people. I can tell you, when I was in my space, I had many of days where my thoughts got so dark where I contemplated ending it all. And that is not a normal space that for me to be in. And so when I was in that space, it was incredibly terrifying because the thoughts were so real in that moment. And I felt that they were so dark and that they were pushing beyond the point of what we consider like ideation. And I remember feeling like, okay, just hold on. And I really genuinely felt like I was holding on for dear life. And then reading your responses, I recognize that so many of you also feel like you're just holding on for dear life. And I'm going to urge and encourage and ask that you continue to do that and not make the decision to stop holding, because the darkness is consuming all of us. And we have to push through it in order to reach the other side. And it's easier to do that if we make a decision as a collective to push through it. Like if we make that decision as a collective, that's collective energy, it's collective thought, it's collective intention, right? To keep moving. And I think that we should collectively make that decision to keep moving. And so if you stumble across this video and you hear what I'm asking of you, I ask that in this quick moment of you watching this, you make that intention. You become aware of the intention, and you make that intention that you're going to keep going and you're going to keep moving. And I want to use this as an opportunity to say to you, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and I get it, right? Even though I feel like I am on sort of the other side of it and I'm coming out of it, when I tell you I have dips and slips, and it happens so quickly, and the only reason why I don't dip as much as I was before is because I am keeping my mind busy with hobbies and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I recognize that that's not necessarily always sustainable, right? Because sometimes you're just tired and you don't want to do your hobbies. And so I'm currently in the process of like acknowledging that, and that's why I'm reshaping my life to flow and to work for me. And that's a lot of what I said to you before. Like, I'm not going to allow myself to continue like scheduling videos, right? And when I say that, I mean sort of in like that traditional kind of way where you're like, okay, I film and I edit on these days, because it feels like a job when I do that. I'm going to try to be a bit more spontaneous when I film, in the sense of if I wake up that day and I look at my calendar and I go, ooh, I have a free hour or two, and I feel like the bug to do so, then I'll jump on it at that point, because at that point it's natural and it flows. And so like part of like this vloggy thing that you guys are getting is because it's flowing from me right now. I had things to do over these next few days, knew I wasn't going to be able to stop. And so instead of waiting to stop what I was doing, get my energy back because I knew I would be tired, right? And then come back to filming, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to film on the go and kind of sort of bring you guys with me and like kind of get out the message where I can get out the message, however I can get out the message, right? And this is kind of what we are coming up with, you know? But like, I, you know, really hang in on that. Like, just hang on. And it's crazy because I feel like I've made a couple of videos that said, hold on. And actually, no, there is a video titled Hold On, and it was very much one of those impromptu videos that I kind of put up. And I remember when I made that video, I wasn't in the dark place, right? I just was feeling like this intensity in the collective, and I felt it sort of revving up, and it felt like something that like it would get intense, more intense as time went on, and I felt the need to kind of put it out there. But we are really at the moment in the thick of it. It's not an energy anymore where I'm like, oh, it's coming in, guys, be aware of it, pay attention to it. It's more like it's on top of us. And here's the thing about going through dark periods in life. Every time you do so, you come out and you are met with extraordinary blessings. It's almost as if that's the secret formula or something. Every time you're in a really dark path, if you continue to push through it, there's always a blessing waiting on the other side. And a lot of this period is forcing us to purge. Like, reading your comments, I'm realizing not only were you guys in darkness, a lot of you guys spent a lot of time crying or really angry. And so what that's showing me is that there are emotions that are buried deep that haven't been expressed or acknowledged. And honestly, some of those emotions are probably from childhood, really. It may not even be anything recent. And so when it's coming and bubbling to the surface, that can be incredibly traumatic and really triggering, because you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know what prompted it. You don't know, like, you know, I'm getting so distracted by all of these fluorescent lights. Like, I can't do this. Like, this hotel room has so much fluorescence. It's so aggravating me. I feel like everything in here is like antique yellow, you know? But it's coming in, it's bubbling because it has to come out. And it is going to be traumatic because a lot of it you're not aware of. You probably haven't revisited those feelings or ideas in a really long time, you guys. In a really long time. For a lot of you, it's going to be like childhood, or it's going to be those really traumatic things that happened to you a long time ago that you don't talk to anyone about, that you don't tell people about, that maybe some of it for some of you will be things that you've never brought up to a therapist. Like, it's forcing its way out of you. And someone said it really awesome in the comments that it's a purge, and that's exactly what's happening. And you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing it in your personal life, but you're also kind of seeing it play out in weird places, like in the media and in pop culture. You see celebrities purging relationships and things like that. And it's very much happening on a collective level. You're seeing it in Mother Nature. It's so intense, and it's an energy that's happening on this extraordinary level in the collective, constantly and consistently and over again, when it's duplicating itself at an exponential rate, and you're feeling it, but then you're intuitive and you're coming into your abilities even more so, because a lot of you are way more sensitive than you were before, and it's just going to continue to increase, right? Like, a lot of this is part of like the new age that we came into, and heightened abilities, psychic abilities is a part of that, right? So people that were not what we would call woo-woo or witchy or kind of into this side of stuff, right, are going to start feeling really intuitive for some reason. It's going to be really bad for those people, though. It's going to suck for them. And the reason why it's going to suck for them is because they don't have any basis or foundation for like why it's happening, right? Whereas opposed to like us, if you've made it on this channel, definitely us, right? There is an awareness of something more to the story, right? That there's a chapter in the book that got ripped out. There's an awareness of that. There's a lot of people who are becoming really intuitive who are not necessarily waking up. Just because you're intuitive or psychic doesn't mean you've woken up. And for those people, it's going to be really difficult for them because they're not going to understand why they can pick up on things that they can pick up on, why they can perceive certain things, and you're not going to be able to help them, and you're not going to be able to fix it. And so, you know, if you are someone who feels like you have these people around you in your life, and you see it kicking in for them, and like you're trying to help them, but they're just not receptive, they're not going to be receptive. This is really a journey all on their own that they're going to kind of have to figure out, but there isn't anything that you can do to wake them up or assist them through that process. If they don't have some sort of spirituality inclination of some sort, it is what it is. Being intuitive and being perceptive is all part of the shift and the change, right? Because the shift and the change is bringing in this higher consciousness, this higher energetic field, this higher vibration, this higher frequency. And part of all of that is intuitive ability, perception, and that is something that's on a collective level. And so even though they may not be aware of something called intuitive ability, right, because it's happening on a collective level, then because they are part of the collective, it also affects them too. But because they don't necessarily have that sort of spiritual inclination, they may not necessarily have the ability to understand it in a way that you can understand it, or maybe even train it in the way that you can train it. Because the only way to really train it is to accept it, is to accept that there's another chapter of the story that got ripped out of the book. That is the only way you can get to a place where you can start to train it and hone your skills and control it in the way that you want to control it, utilize it in the way that you want to utilize it, and deploy it in the way that you want to deploy it. If that's not where you are, and like, you can't help these people, and you're going to start to see a lot of them, and they're just going to say to you, I don't know, I had a dream. And you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I know. I know. And they're going to be like, isn't that weird? They're going to tell you the dream, and instead they're going to be like, and then it happened. And then you're going to go, yeah, okay. And then they're going to be so shocked, like, isn't that, you don't think that's funny? And you're going to be like, no, right? And you know what? It makes no sense to waste breath trying to explain to them in that moment what happened, because they're just not there. They are becoming perceptive and intuitive because it's happening on a collective level. Because they are a part of the collective, they too will be affected by it. Does not mean that they will ever grow to understand it or appreciate it or anything like that. And so, you know, don't drive yourself crazy. Here's the thing. I don't save nobody, okay? I'm just here spilling my guts out on the internet, trying to be great, you know? And trying to stay healthy. Because look, COVID out there, it's rough. Oh my God, I got dirt under my fingernail. How did I do this? So disgusting. Ugh. You know, but you guys, you know, you don't have to be Captain Save a Hoe. I save no hoes. I really don't. All hoe for themselves. I don't save hoes. I don't have time to save hoes. Why would anyone want to save a hoe? And a lot of the times what happens when we come into this world and realm of spirituality, people start trying to save hoes. Okay? And you know what I'm talking about because you yourself have been the hoe cadet, right? You come into this and you're excited and it's all opening and it's inspiring and all of a sudden everything makes sense to you and you're like, oh my God, like I gotta share this with people. And so you start trying to save hoes. Let me open your mind to all the beautiful parts of life. Let me give you an amethyst crystal so you can work on your third eye. And then you give somebody one of these things and they're looking at you like, why did you just hand me this rock? And you're hurt. You're hurt because you're like, what are you talking about? It's a vibration of the universe and they don't understand it. And they never will. Oh my God, I just remembered I have a meeting at 6:00. What was I saying about hoes and saving? Don't do it. You know, just let it go. Gotta let all hoes go so they can flow, baby. You know, I don't do it. I've learned I can't help nobody. I can't save nobody. I can't prevent you from the tragicness of yourself because we all have tragicness of selves, me included, right? What I can do is provide insight and allow you to do whatever you want to do with that information. Save yourself or not. See you on the flip side or not. But what I did not incarnate for is to be a savior. Your girl ain't got time. I'm still trying to figure out how to save my damn self, let alone save you, right? You know, so I say all that to say, some people you're just going to have to let go. Somebody asked me too in the comments, like why I dropped some people. Like I talked about, you know, dropping friends and family. And the reason why I did it was because they are bummy, right? I don't know how else to say it. They are bummy. I love them, but they are bums. And you know what? That's not what I'm trying to do with my life. I'm trying to be the opposite of a bum. I'm trying to like win at life. And what was happening is I started to realize there were people around me who were too much of a victim for their own life. And I just couldn't take it. Now, here's the thing about victimhood. We all slip into it from time to time. We all like to be the martyr in our own story, right? Because we're the main characters. And it makes for a better story. But the moment you catch yourself falling victim to your own story or your own narrative, I personally think that you should try to figure out how to get out of that narrative. You're going to fall victim to it because you're human and that's what we do. But when you grow in awareness that that's what you're doing, then you can then go, what are my next steps? You can wake up one day, I feel really bad. Okay, what do I need to do to feel unbad? I don't like my life the way it is. What do I need to do to not have my life be the way it is? I hate this job. What do I need to do to not have this job and have a job that I like? I hate where I live. What do I need to do in order to move? What is my transition plan to get out of my circumstances? And these particular people they just were not like that. And it wasn't even a situation where they were like, okay, I would like a plan and I just don't know how to come up with a plan. They didn't care about making a plan at all. And that for me was a huge problem because life is a journey. And so you should always be in a state of transition. You should always be in a state of newness, in a state of change, in a state of birth and death and rebirth. That's what life is. I don't feel like dying in the same place I started from. I'm not dying at the finish line. And if I do, I'm coming back and haunting everybody because that's bullcrap, right? And so with these particular people, they just were not in line with that train of thought. But I also had a lot of people that around me that were in line with that train of thought that was like, this isn't working for me. Because a lot of people during this time, this whole pandemic and everything that's going on, have had enough time to figure out what does and does not work for them. And I'm going to tell you something. I have yet to hear about one person to say, oh my God, my life was great. Yeah, I loved it before, love it now. I don't want to change it. Everyone has realized some part of their life that they're not pleased with. So what are you going to do about it? Anyway, these people weren't trying to do nothing about their life and they weren't trying to change their life. And one day I realized these people are some bums. And I realized I'm not really vibing with the bummy energy. So I got rid of all the bums in my life. Straight up. One of the bums was also absolutely disrespectful to me in a way that I was like, I'm never tolerating this again from you, from me, or anyone else. And because of your behavior, you are no longer allowed to participate in my life. And I'm pretty sure that was actually what I said to this person. If you will not respect me, you will never be allowed to be around me. And I love you, but this is completely unacceptable because I respect myself. And what I'm starting to understand is like boundaries are implemented with people, but boundaries are also implemented with self. And in order for me to enforce a boundary with you, I have to constantly be enforcing boundaries with myself, right? So one of my boundaries with myself is I do not disrespect myself, right? Like trying to limit like that limiting belief systems and that self-hate speech and stuff like that. And so if my boundary is to not disrespect myself, then I can't let you disrespect me either, right? Because if I let you do it, all the work that I've done in order to implement this boundary and to keep it real good and solid has completely gone to crap. So now I got to cut you and your bummy ass. And that was what it was. They were bums and I wasn't rocking with it anymore. I don't want bums in my life. I don't want bummy energy around me. That's not what it is. I wake up every day and I look at my life and I think to myself, what do I want, right? And I've also started to kind of rephrase this idea of going after what you want. Traditionally, you're given a list of check boxes, right? For some people, you go to school, you do really well in school. Maybe you get a good job, make good money, whatever that means for you. And life is these series of check boxes, and you're supposed to check all these boxes to have a good life. And I said to myself, well, what about my quality of life? What if I check all those boxes and I'm really unhappy? And that was what happened. And when I was like in my pit of despair and I was reevaluating everything, I realized that I checked on my boxes, and I actually remember having a conversation with my sister when I was in tears. And I said to her, what do? I checked all the boxes. I did everything everyone told me to do. As a kid, you're told all these things that you're supposed to do in life to become a productive member of society. And I said to her, I checked all of that and I'm really unhappy. What do I do? And I realized at that time, I need to address the quality of my life. Right? The quantity is the accolades. The quantity is, yeah, you go to school. Yeah, you get a degree. Yeah, you get a job. Yeah, you make X amount of dollars a year. It's the accolades. It's the rewards. It's the participation trophies. But what about the quality? That is probably where the money is, right? And the quality is what makes you happy, and it's what makes life worth doing. And so when I sat back and I was like, okay, well, what's my quality of life? And I was like, pretty damn poor, in the sense of I'm just not happy with it. And I said, well, what would make me happy? And then, funny enough, I had to then go, when I asked myself, what do I think would make me happy? I then had to go and readdress more traumas and triggers that I didn't even anticipate, right? Because one thing I realized that would make me happy, not necessarily make me happy, but things I like that bring like dopamine rushes in the brain, right? Stuff. I like stuff. I like really shiny stuff. I like expensive stuff. I like name brand stuff. I like luxury. When I fly, I like to sit in first class. I really like Dubai. I like name brand perfume. I like stuff. And society teaches you that you shouldn't like that you should be humble when it comes to your successes and humble when it comes to how much money that you have, humble when it comes to what you get. And then society teaches you this thing of only take what you need, right? Don't really pursue the things that you want. And so when I started to realize I like stuff, I like things, I like clothes, I like shoes, I like bags. That was a thing for me. Purses. Wow. Like that was a whole budget I had to create, right? And because society teaches you that you shouldn't have it. On top of that, growing up, my family was poor, right? And when you are poor, it's only natural for you to grow into an adult and have a poverty mindset. you have to come out of being afraid of being broke all the time because that's what you're used to, and that takes time. And if I'm honest, I'm not entirely sure if people really get out of it. Like Oprah, for example. Oprah doesn't strike me as somebody that would be okay with being broke. Like, and I don't suggest that she be okay with being broke either. That's like, she just doesn't strike me as that person. Why would she? From her background, why would she be okay with that? Like, why, you know? And so I had to address all of the issues and traumas that I had around money, and deal with like resurfacing buried memories that I had as a kid, running around lifting couch cushions, trying to find coins to see if I could get enough coins to make $1 and then go to the store and buy food with it. I had to bury memories that I had as an adult and jobless and moneyless, and going to different grocery store parking lots and walking around parking lots hoping to find change on the ground because I had no money. I had to bury all of that. And so when I started to ask myself, quality of life, what does that mean to you? What do you like? What do you want? All of that started to bubble back to the surface, because when you have all of that happen, even myself, I start to convince myself to be okay with what it is that I have. Because once upon a time, you used to dig for change and cushions in order to eat dinner. And so now when if I go to a restaurant and I look at the menu, my first thing I want to order is the lobster. That's what I want. I don't want the chicken fingers. I want the lobster, right? So then I had to accept that, like, that's what you want. That's the quality of life that you want to have. You want to ultimately have a very comfortable, luxurious life, which makes sense because you're coming from the complete opposite background. So it would make sense that you want that, right? But then I also had to get out of this mindset of trying to convince myself that I deserved it, because that was part of it. And then if I had a bad day where I didn't feel very deserving of things, then the whole thing would fall apart. And all of a sudden I didn't feel like I deserved it anymore. And it just kept sending me into this tailspin. And eventually I had to accept the fact that I like money, that I like expensive things, that I like nice things, and that I like luxurious experiences. And I was talking to my sister and she laughed at me because I actually used to think that I was cheap. That would be, if you asked me to describe myself, I would have been like, oh, I'm frugal. Genuinely believed I was frugal. And I called my sister and I was like, I realized something. I don't think I'm frugal. She was like, what? I said, I think I was just broke. I'm not frugal. I was broke. I had no money. And then it's like, and then you start making some money and then you be like, upgrade? Okay. You know? And then it starts to feel good and you start to feel nice. But it's so funny because when I'm in that space in life, I feel like I'm in a state of equilibrium, right? That feels natural to me. And what I learned was it's not the money or the luxurious expenses and all that type of stuff that's nice. It's the fact that we are supposed to live a life that is comfortable. The earth, the world, our universe, whatever, literally has all the resources in it in order for everybody here to exist in a state of comfort and luxury and even excess, right? There's more than enough resources to everybody to live a beautifully comfortable life. And what I really want is my birthright, right? And so I had a conversation with Spirit, and I said to Spirit, if you want me to continue doing this, meaning being a partner of Spirit, a teacher of Spirit, my condition, among the many, is that I live a comfortable life. I want some money. You're gonna have to run me my money. You gotta run me my check. Not only do I expect people to run me my check for my services and everything that I do in life, not just as mysticrainn, I have recognized I expect the same thing from Spirit, right? People start businesses all the time and they say they want their money, myself included, right? But why do we not ask that of Spirit, right? If you come to me and you're like, I want to book a spiritual hour with you, I'm charging you money. But you're also a spirit. So why is this other spirit that we work with different than me? I'm working with you, I'm working with them. Why are they exempt from this rule? The only difference is they have an abundance of it, right? For them, it's infinite. They could give as much of it they want to get to me as they want. So for me, that was my condition. I want money. I want to be comfortable, and I don't want to be struggling. If this is what I'm supposed to be doing, I don't want to be struggling, because it's easier for me when I have a life that flows, and when you have a good quality of life, it flows. For me, I like it. People tell you all this. It's not about the stuff, right? It's not about the stuff. You know, you can become rich, but then all rich people say that they have a void in their heart. Listen to me. Give a poor person a lot of money and see if they feel the same. You're talking to me about people that have always been rich, specifically white people that have always been rich. You're talking to me about people who have generational wealth. Of course they're sad, they're bored, okay? But when you're talking about people who come from poverty, it would make me so happy. Are you kidding me? I need nothing else in life if you give me a lot of money. And when I allowed myself to accept that not liking those things and not wanting those things, or feeling like you shouldn't like those things, is really a product of society, I really was able to sort of come back out of it. And then my next question was, okay, you've accepted that that's the type of life that you want to have. Because if I want to go on vacation, I don't want to fly coach. It's not that I feel like I'm better than coach. I like the experience. To me, it's the experience of everything, right? So when people go on vacation, the big dopamine rush for them is the fact that they get to go and see a new place. The dopamine rush for me is the experience as a whole. To me, that's a vacation. The vacation starts the moment I walk out my front door, because it's the experience. If I can walk out my front door and there's no traffic getting to the airport, to me, that was a really awesome experience. And I'm really excited about it, right? If I can get through TSA security for everyone that's not in America, and like nobody is bothering me about it in the airport, like that's a really awesome experience for me. I literally just got TSA pre-check, so I don't have to take my shoes off, right? Because experience, people, experience. And when I realized that that's what I like the experience. I like shopping for purses that always go out of stock, because if I can get a purse, that dopamine rush that happens when I secured the bag, right, is so exciting for me. And when I get the item, to me, it's like this prized possession, and it's like this talking piece, and it's this work of art, and it's so much more than the item itself. It's the experience, and it's the quality of experience. And that's what I've realized about me that I like. I like that. I love that, right? If I go to a new hotel and I could tell that the pillows are fresh, my God, I will tell people about the hotel and those pillows for days. I will sit on the bed and constantly fluff up the pillows because I'm so excited that the pillows are fresh. You know where you get fresh pillows? Nice fancy hotels, right? And so when I accepted that, it was a lot easier for me to be like, all right, girl, you like money, honey, and that's okay. Like, but you have to accept it and allow yourself to evolve out of the poverty mindset. Then the next thing I did was like, well, how do I get it? What do I need to do to get that life? What do I need to do? What actions do I need to put in motion? What do I need to manifest? What are energy blockages that I have? Let me clean those up and work on those and solve those and heal those, right? What do I need to put in motion in order to get there, right? As of today, what can I start doing? One, I can start dividing up my finances. I can be more financially smart. I can create a financial foundation, right? And so recently I'm working on what I'm calling my financial foundation, where I have all my different accounts and my savings or whatever, and then trying to figure out what an investment portfolio we're looking at, and then also different budgets, right? Different funds, right? I have a transitional fund. That fund is literally money to be used whenever I decide to make a big transition in life. That could be moving to a different place or whatever. There's money there where I can do it comfortably. And the idea is that you continuously build on top of that, right? I also now have a bag fund. And my bag fund is specifically for bags like Gucci, Louis, Prada. Why? Because I've realized and accepted that I just like it. I also accept the fact that I don't always have Gucci money in the account. But how do I create a scenario when I do? If I create a bag fund and slowly put money in there, eventually that money will match Gucci bags. And once you have that, you can then create a scenario where you have energy that you're working with. Like energy attracts like energy. If you get used to putting money in a bag fund, congratulations, more money just happens to end up in a bag fund, right? And so then it was also like, how do I work with the energy in the way that I know how to create a foundation, to create this sort of lifestyle that I want to have for myself because I like it. I like it. And it is, and it's quality because I love the experiences. My eyes light up when different things like that happen, right? I like things that are really shiny and things that smell good, and they come out in all sort of ways. Sometimes it's shopping, sometimes it's nails. They come out in all type of ways, but I had to allow myself to really sit down and examine like what that was, right? And so for you, a lot of you guys, because you're already in that space of trying to figure out, like you already know what's no longer working for you. Like you pretty much have the answer to that right now. So your next step is figure out what will work for you, right? After you figure out what will work for you, then implement the energetic measures to put it into place, right? So for example, let's go back to my bag example, right? Let's say for you, you really want a Fendi bag, whatever, but you don't have the money to get a Fendi bag. The way you implement a measure is you create a bag fund, right? And it's really that simple. You may not have $1 to put into it yet, but you created a fund. That means you created a reservoir for the energy to go to support what it is that you want. So now that you've identified what you don't want, now take the time to figure out what you do, and then figure out what's that foundation to create, or what do I need to do to create the energy reserve required to bring that energy in so it can sit somewhere, so I can hold it, right? At this point, it makes no sense dwelling on all the ways that your life doesn't make you happy. We all know at this point what doesn't make us happy. There's not a whole lot of people anymore in sort of this stage of the collective journey that's still trying to figure out what needs to happen in order to make them happy, right? Or what's happening that's not making them happy. People kind of know, right? People know it's not working anymore. What's happening is whether or not you're too scared to change it, right? Are you playing chicken or not? The crazy thing is that you're playing chicken with yourself. The sooner you change your circumstance, the sooner you get out of the circumstance, right? The sooner you change your circumstance, the sooner things stop being uncomfortable for you. So now that you know what you don't want, figure out what you do want, and then figure out how to lay the foundation in order to get that and allow yourself to go get it. Because I'm telling you something, nobody's going to help you get it. The reason why no one's going to help you get it is because everybody, because it's a collective experience, is in that place. Everybody is in a place where they're right now just trying to figure out how to keep themselves alive and how to save themselves. They don't have the energy reserves to help you. Doesn't mean that they don't love you. So if you are in a situation where you feel like I know what I need and I ask this person for help, but they're not helping me, get over it, sweetie. And that's not trying to say that no one needs to help you. They're not in that place where they can help you. They don't have the energy reserves. They're just trying to keep themselves alive. And when that's happening, you can't save nobody, right? How do you save somebody when you can't save yourself? And so right now, it is going to be up to you to come in and save yourself. The sooner you change your circumstances, the sooner you stop being uncomfortable. So I'm going to leave it there. So it's the next day, the end of the next day. And I'm actually really, really exhausted. And I just taken a shower. I got to brush my wig out so the poor thing doesn't mat up so I can take it off. And then I'm waiting for my DoorDash to get to the hotel. And then I'm going to eat and sleep and then catch a flight out tomorrow morning. But I had some sort of realizations, some really sort of life affirming moments that I want to share with you guys because I feel like it'll help you find your own life affirming moments. And then just kind of like, I guess weirdly a lesson. I don't know. Okay, so I was having a moment and I realized how full circle my life had come. And so full circle that I went into a place of like, I don't want to say that I was ungrateful, right? But like definitely in a place of taking things for granted. That's where I was. Back in 2018, I had lost my job and I had become like an Uber driver. And that happened for like a year, and that was a really terrifying, troubling, traumatic experience for me, because I was looking for jobs and I was applying for jobs and I wasn't getting any callbacks, any interviews, nothing. Now, you guys, like, I'm someone, like, I have 5 degrees, for crying out loud. So for me, if you want to talk about like the situation that would lead to a death of an ego and something to humble you real hard, real fast, is going through all that effort, putting so much effort into your schooling, actually doing well, succeeding, having a job as a director, and then all of a sudden not having a job, not having any money, having to be an Uber driver. And, well, if I'm honest, do regular people work? Because that's what regular people do in order to get by. But I had been so far kind of removed from the process of what it means to live a regular life that I was always kind of in this bubble, right? And when that happened to me, it forced me to be real and be authentic, right? Because when you feel like you have everything stripped from you, and for me, that was everything, right? Some people look at a job and it's not that big of a deal to them. At that point in my life, my identity was wrapped up in my job. It was wrapped up not only in a job, but the status of a job. And it was a really hard go for me. And I remember I would pick up people from the airport as an Uber or a Lyft driver, because I did both. And every once in a while, I would get like these like business professionals, and they would get into the back of the car. And sometimes I would get like 2 business professionals, and I would just overhear them talking about contracts or negotiations or projects that they were working on. Sometimes I would hear them complaining about a boss. Every once in a while, maybe the 2 would be talking to each other, complaining about their pay, or saying that they feel like they should get paid more for what it is they do, whatever. But I would always think to myself, like, man, I wish I had a job that I could complain about. I wish I had a boss that made me really mad. I wish I had a job that allowed me to travel, where I didn't have to always be cooped up all the time. And for me, not having any money, using Uber to survive, and by the way, driving for Uber in Atlanta is like not the same as like driving Uber in New York, right? Like, you do make more money as an Uber driver in New York. Not like, in my opinion, Atlanta, like, with the amount of driving that has to be done in Atlanta, I feel like the Atlanta market Uber drivers make pennies compared to some of the other markets, but like, whatever. And I would just overhear these conversations and think to myself, man, I wish that was me. And the thought left, and it never really came back. And then I realized when I had flew into DC, here I am flying in. I'm with my colleague. We jump into the back of an Uber driver, and we're talking about various projects that we're working on, various business dealings or whatever. And I had a moment where I was like, holy crap, my life came full circle. And it put a smile on my face, because once upon a time, I didn't think that would ever happen to me. I didn't think I was good enough, or that I would ever find a decent job that would put me in that position, or whatever. Because when I tell you my confidence was completely shot, right, at that particular place in my life, I just didn't think it would happen. But then it did. And then so that kind of got me thinking, well, what other things in my life happened that came full circle, that worked out for me right after a time when I felt like I was in a really sort of dark period where nothing was working out for me. And I started just kind of brainstorming and just started checking boxes, and it really sort of highlighted to me the fact that every time you're in a dark period, every time you're in a dark place, there's always a blessing on the other side of it. And so I know I mentioned this already, but for some reason it's coming back up, which means I feel like this is a point that needs to kind of be hammered in, or maybe repeated, or maybe you're in a place where maybe things are so dark for you right now that you just need a lot of reminders of it. And I'm okay with that, that there's always a blessing on the other side. And maybe you should take some time to think about all the times in your life where you thought, man, I wish I had that, or I wish that was for me, or I wish I could get that, or go there, or whatever. And then years would pass, and then all of a sudden it happens for you. It manifests for you. And you were like, wow, oh my God, I remember a time when I had really, really wanted that. I didn't think I was going to get it for myself. And so I'm saying this to like encourage you all to think about those times in your life where it did happen to you, because we all have like one of those moments. All of us have absolutely one of those moments. And sometimes it is the memory of that moment and the memory of it actually happening to you and for you that can help you
get through what it is that you're going through. And I'm saying all of that to say that I'm going to ask you again to hold on. Which is really funny. I don't actually know what I've said in this video, because by the time I piece it together, you're looking at it probably a culmination of like 3 to 4 days. And so I don't remember what I said 3 days ago, but I feel like after this video, it's going to look like I said that 30 seconds ago when really 3 days has gone by. I'm looking over there, but the camera's over there, so I'm going to go back over here. But hold on, right? And I'm saying that too because there's another reason why that message popped up today. So for those of you that don't know, with explaining it probably as detailed as I can explain it without giving away too much, because it's the internet, when it comes to like what I do for a living, right? To put it simply, I'm like a professional activist. I work in advocacy and social justice. I fight for voting rights, criminal justice reform, all of that type of stuff. And today, I woke up this morning in DC and I marched this morning and marched right down Black Lives Matter Plaza and right to the White House and demonstrated in front of the White House for voting rights. And a lot of my colleagues did risk arrest. Some of them did have citations. And that's what we do. That's part of sort of the groups that I'm affiliated with, and kind of, you know, that's my day to day. That's my life. And then after that moment, I then went to Howard University in DC, Blackburn takeover. For those of you that don't know, look it up. For those that know. And we went there to see what these students really needed. And when I got there, it's literally 18 to 21-year-olds that have organized and have decided that they were going to fight for what it was that they wanted. And they were stressed. When we got there, we're talking, there's a tent city on Howard University, and the housing is in shambles, and they can't live there because there's mold everywhere. And they've got all these demands, and the administration isn't doing anything about it. And there's like these young adults, but like these kids, when you look at them, they look like babies, and they're sleeping in tents at a university that they pay an astronomical amount of money to attend. And they don't even have proper housing and or air mattresses. And when I tell you, we got there and they looked shot. And so when I had asked them, well, how are you guys doing? And they all went, good. And we were like, nah, like you could actually tell us how you're doing. We know it's not good. Like, this is what we do. This is our line of work. When you are in those type of situations, it's crisis situations all the time. Whenever you're fighting for yourself, whenever you're fighting for your right, it's always a state of crisis. That's how it is. But to watch these young people fight for something that benefits a whole lot of people, that benefits generations after them, and they're so tired and they're so beat up, but it's crazy because it's like, but we need you guys for the movement to continue fighting, because that's what life is. It's just a fight. And someone said to them, hold on. And that was another full circle moment for me, because I was like, I've been saying this. I've been saying, hold on. And one of those things that I said that you're going to see a huge increase of is going to be protesting. And here we are in these scenarios where there are people who are protesting to have a decent place to live, where they're not in these housing facilities that have fleas, right? Because they do. And we're telling these kids to hold on. And so I'm saying all that to say that if we have to go into a university and tell a bunch of 18-year-olds to hold on because they're stressed and they feel like they're fighting and they don't know if they're going to win, and they're just trying to go to school where they're not getting bit by fleas, right? And they have a struggle, then you know that we have to extend the same grace to you all as well. And I'm using that kind of as an example because it's a hold on from a larger perspective, right? I give you that sort of psycho-spiritual perspective of things. I'm going to tell you to hold on. I'm telling you from a very sort of spiritual perspective. But at the moment, I'm in work mode. And so I'm telling you from like a real world perspective. It's happening everywhere. And it's happening in all generations, and it's happening in the workplace, it's happening in the home, it's happening at school, where everybody is fighting to hold on. And so extend yourself some grace and extend your loved ones some grace. If you have children or nieces or nephews or cousins or people that are younger than you, reach out to them and really ask them how they're doing, and accept that they may tell you that they're fine, right? Because they may see you as an authority figure, or they may see you as an adult. And so because of that, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm okay. But when they say that, go further. Be like, but are you sure? Like, how are you really? Because this shift is collective, and it is showing up in every place, every walk of life. It is showing up literally everywhere. It feels so personal, and it feels so spiritual, but it is also so physical, because it's in our reality. When we are consumed with certain thoughts, and we are really resonating at a certain frequency and a certain vibration, it's only a matter of time before that manifests into our physical reality. And right now, it's in our physical reality, and it's being seen literally everywhere. And so go back and check on your people, particularly your younger people. Go check on your younger generation. Go talk to Gen Z. They have a lot to say. They have a lot to say. They have a lot to share. They have a lot of really great ideas. They're also a different breed of children that are incredibly intellectual. Go talk to them, and then go ask them if they are okay, because you know what? They are also trying really hard to hold on. And the issue when you're that age is adults don't want to listen to you, right? And they are adults, right? When you hit 18, you are an adult. But when older folks don't want to listen to you, right? They think, well, what do you have to be stressed about? What do you have to be worried about? You ain't had to do nothing yet. You don't have any responsibilities yet, right? But they're still holding on, right? And they're holding on because they are suffering not only from what's happening in the collective, not only what's happening on their personal psycho-spiritual level, but also because of the consequences that are now being handed down due to things not necessarily being right prior, right? So go check on your people, go check on the younger generation, and really ask them how they're doing, right? While you're extending your grace and space to yourself, you guys, this wig, it just be slipping and sliding all over the place. I'm so tired. I'm going to talk to you like this. I'm real tired. Look, when you are tired, everybody in their house is tired, okay? Everybody. They're all tired. If you come home from work, or shoot, you come home looking for a job, and you're tired, everybody else in the house is tired, because it's collective. It's a collective experience, right? If you're hungry or feeling peckish, most likely the people around you are also going to be feeling hungry and peckish. We are very deeply connected to each other at this point in time, and we have a lot of very mirrored, shared experiences right now at this point in time. And that comes down to things that we think are minor, right? And so as you're healing and you're growing and you're moving through this process, right, go check on your younger people and hold their hand on theirs. Now, here's the thing. Not a big hand holder, right? Very big on not saving hoes. But 18-year-olds are not hoes yet. You understand what I'm saying? And they're a lot more open to coaching than adults are. It's a lot easier to bring an 18-year-old with you into the dawn of the new age than to bring along somebody that's 38 years old. It's a lot easier to do that, you know? So just consider that. Anyway, I'm going to go get some dinner, or wait for my dinner to get here, and I'm going to go to bed because I have a flight out tomorrow morning, and I have to head to DC. But think about it. Marinate on it a little bit. Hope that's helpful.